Hello. Did you know that pancakes are historically accurate? Well, today I'm going to be working on 3 recipes. One is from 1393, it's French, and then the other 2 are English from 1585 and 1615. Come with me into the kitchen as I make Renaissance pancakes. I'm doing the French one from 1393, and I'm dividing the recipe in half. First, I'm going to put in 3/4 a cup of flour. Along with 2 tablespoons of flour. Next, I'm going to add in 1 egg. Next, I'm going to add in 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And now I'm going to add in 6 tablespoons of white wine. Add in the water. I want to stir everything up. And as you can see, it's creating a very thick paste. So now I'm going to add in 1/2 cup of water. The object is to get the dough, well, the batter, to be like a very runny pancake batter. This is actually a French recipe for crepes. You want to make sure to get out as many lumps as possible. To my pan, and I've set the stove on medium to low heat. Now that my butter has been spread out and melted, I'm going to put on the first pancake. You want to make sure it's spread out thin. Now, unlike modern pancakes that would normally bubble in the middle, I'm looking for the edges to look a little more well done before I flip it. But it will not bubble like modern pancakes. As you can see, it's pretty done on this side, but right here, I'm waiting to see if it will firm up a little bit more. Okay. And now I'm just going to cook the underneath side now that I flipped it. And in a moment, it should be ready. And now that I've got a plate of pancakes, I'm going to take some sugar and sprinkle it on top. Now time to see what 1393 tastes like. Not bad. I'm going to do the 1585 English recipe by Thomas Dawson. It's in the Good Housewife's Jewel. And bear with me as I work with this recipe because, well, we'll see if it works. First, it says to take a thick pint of thick cream. I'm dividing this recipe into fourths. 1 pint is 2 cups, so dividing it by 4 would be half a cup. So pouring in half a cup of cream. Next, I'm going to be adding in 1 egg yolk. Next, the original recipe says to take a good handful of flour. I looked online and found that a handful is roughly half a cup of flour. So since I'm dividing this into fourths, I'm putting in 2 tablespoons of flour. Now I'm going to stir these together. You want to try mixing all of the flour that goes up on the sides. The recipe also says to take a handful of sugar, which again, a handful is half a cup. So I'm going to be putting in 2 tablespoons of sugar. There's 1, 2. Next, I'm going to add in 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. And 1/8 teaspoon of ginger. Now I'm going to stir my ingredients together. Okay. But not least, 1/2 teaspoon of ale or yeast. And then stir that in. Before I've mixed up my batter, I've melted my butter, and now I'm going to pour this on. It's also on, the stove is on low medium heat. The same as before. There really aren't any bubbles like what you would find in a modern pancake. So right now I'm just waiting for the edges to be done enough so that I can flip the pancake. As you can see, it still looks a little doughy on the edges here. And over here on the left, looks like it still needs to be done. The thing with this pancake, I've already done it once, is there's an air bubble that keeps popping up in the middle, so I'm lifting up the side to let out the air. You can see this pancake did not want to flip well, and I've actually managed to split it in half, so I'm trying to use 2 spatulas now to flip the other half over. Visually, you can see that the pancakes definitely did not turn out visually as good as the first pancakes, but time to see how these taste compared to 13.93. Definitely a little more flavor with the cinnamon and the ginger than the 13.93. But I think I actually prefer the first pancakes over these. And for my final recipe, I'm going to be doing pancakes from 1615 by Gervais Markham in The English Housewife. And with this recipe, I'm actually dividing it in half. So first I'm going to add in 1 egg. Now I'm going to add in 1/8 of a teaspoon of nutmeg and 1/8 of a teaspoon of clove and 1/8 of a teaspoon of mace, 1/8 of a teaspoon of cinnamon, and finally 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt. These together. And add in 1 cup of flour. And now I've got 3/4 a cup of water here, and I'm going to just add some until I get the batter to the thickness that I want. It looks like I'll be using all 3/4 a cup of the water. And just make sure you get out all the lumps. A bit while I'm sitting here stirring out the lumps is that this recipe is by Gervais Markham, and he actually says in the recipe, there be some which mix pancakes with new milk or cream, but that makes them tough, cloying, and not so crisp, pleasant, and savory as running water. If you remember, the last recipe from 1585 included cream. All right, I've melted my butter. I've got the stove on medium to low heat, about in between a 3 and a 4. It's also not bubbling like it would for a modern pancake, but around the edges it's starting to look firm, so I'm going to see if I can flip it. It actually looks rather nice, more like a modern pancake. More of a visual of what the top looks like. Now with these pancakes, you are also supposed to sprinkle them on the top with sugar. Oop, a little too much there on the one. Okay, time to see what 1615 tastes like. By far, this is my favorite. This is good. Here are all 3 together. This is the 1393 Over here is the 1585, and over here is 1615. I've asked 2 others to taste test them, and both of them agree that they like the 1393 recipe the best. The second favorite was 1615, and the least favorite was 1585. I hope you enjoyed watching. Please subscribe. Have a great day.